I used to be paralyzed with self-doubt. Every time I was about to do something that mattered, something that was very significant, my brain would say, "Who do you think you are? You're not ready. You're not smart enough. You're going to fail." And I believed it. For years, I let that voice run my life. I'd see other people crushing it, whether that was in their careers or their business or just trying something new, and I begin to think, well, they just have something I don't have. They're different. But here's what I realized. They weren't much different than I am. They were simply using those thoughts in their head to propel them forward and not keep them back. Once I accepted that and figured out how to do it for myself, everything changed. And I'm not talking about the toxic positivity or the just believe in yourself nonsense, because I'm not a big fan of any of that. I'm talking about a specific step-by-step process that quite literally rewires how your brain perceives doubt. It's what I've been using for the last 12 to 18 months, and it works. First things first, we need to understand where doubt comes from. Put simply, doubt comes from your experiences, the ideas you've adopted, and what your life was like in childhood. Your childhood is the most formative time of your life when you take on the beliefs, the thoughts, the perceptions, and the identity that your caregivers have essentially programmed into your brain. You can have the best caretakers that mean so well, but ultimately, you can still adopt the limiting beliefs and perceptions that don't serve you moving forward into the future. It's very difficult to overcome these self-doubts and these limiting beliefs as you get older, not only because they've been programmed deep into your mind in childhood, but also because of the negativity bias. The negativity bias is an idea that was formulated in 2001 by psychologists Rosen and Roisman. Here's what they found. Humans have an innate tendency to give more weight and importance to negative experiences than to positive ones. And in the context of self-doubt, we pay more attention to these beliefs, even if they aren't serving us, that they ultimately become so ingrained in our personality. You get older, you learn new things, and you have more experiences. But those same self-doubts and limiting beliefs remain because they're deeply entrenched in who you are. The good news is, much like how your subconscious mind has automatically accepted these thoughts and beliefs and perceptions, you can consciously make the changes. But before you can consciously make these changes, there are 3 mindset shifts that you need to adopt before tinkering around with your subconscious mind. Self-doubt opens the door for opportunity. As a kid and teenager, I did Taekwondo. I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the strongest kid, but I sure was fast, and I was always tall. There were other people in my class who were 17, 18, 19 years old. And because I was taller than all the other kids my age, I had to spar against them. I remember the first few times feeling a lot of self-doubt because these guys were essentially grown men and they were stronger than I am. But then I realized if I can keep up with these guys or even beat them when we spar in class, then when it comes time to competing against other kids my age, I would destroy them. I had self-doubt, but I began to see the opportunity, and that changed the game for me. So that's mindset shift number 1. Mindset shift number 2, self-doubt does not equal unworthiness. There's this idea across many different philosophies and belief systems that you are not your thoughts. And it's pretty common knowledge at this point. Anybody who sat down to meditate for a few minutes knows that out of nowhere you get the most insane and ridiculous thoughts just slamming into your mind. And you can know that you're not associated with them because they just come from the ether or wherever they come from. But despite this being such common knowledge, many of us still continue to identify with those thoughts. We allow these thoughts to dictate our actions, and as a result, this keeps us stuck. Alright, so mindset shift number 3, every doubt has an equal opposite. This is the idea of polarity. You can think about it like light has dark, up has down, right has left, forward has back. You can't have one of these things without the other. And the same goes for doubt. With every bit of self-doubt you have or every limiting belief that you have, you can know that there's an equal and opposite to exactly that. Now, if you can accept these 3 mindset shifts, then it makes consciously investigating those limiting beliefs and that self-doubt way easier. Here is the 5-step process you can follow to go from self-doubt and limiting beliefs to pure confidence and raw action. Number 1 is analysis. As you know, there are some situations in life that you feel ultra confident in. And then there are other situations where you don't feel confident at all. So what you need to do is become aware of them. Analyze what situations cause you to have those limiting beliefs and to doubt yourself. Once you consciously gain awareness of those situations, then you can write down the first limiting belief that comes to mind when you think of that situation. So for example, let's say that I had self-doubt about public speaking. I would identify the environment or situation, which is public speaking, and then I would immediately write down the limiting belief that comes to mind associated with that situation. So a limiting belief would be, I have a strange voice and I have a stutter, so I will make a fool out of myself if I try to speak in public. Write it down, become aware of it. This makes you problem aware. Step number 2 is to investigate. Every self-doubt and limiting belief you have came from somewhere. So it's your job to investigate exactly where it came from. You can ask yourself these 3 questions. What would I have to believe about myself for this doubt to feel true? When was the first time I remember feeling this way about myself? Whose voice am I hearing when this doubt speaks to me? When you do this, you are detaching yourself from those self-doubts and limiting beliefs, while also digging deeper beneath the surface to understand exactly what the root is. You'll quickly notice that many of the self-doubts and limiting beliefs that you have did not come from you. And from there, you can begin to realize that it makes no logical sense to believe in these self-doubts and these limiting beliefs. Step 3 is positive reframe. So at this point, you are aware. Now, all you gotta do is take those limiting beliefs you identified and write the equal and opposite to it. So for example, your self-doubt could be something like, I'm not smart enough to start this business. But your positive reframe of that self-doubt could be, my unique perspectives and willingness to learn are exactly what I need to start. Again, write these down. It solidifies the reframe within your mind. Number 4 is conscious repetition. Once you've come up with the positive reframes, then use these to your advantage. Keep them handy either on your phone or on a piece of paper in your wallet or somewhere in your purse, whatever the case may be. Because whenever you have these self-doubts and limiting beliefs, you can just whip out that paper or open up that note on your phone and just reread them. Consciously, you are retraining your brain to default to the positive, not the negative. I know, it seems foolish, but what you're doing is that you're conditioning your brain not only at the behavioral level, but at the neurological level to default to a positive whenever you're in a challenging situation that would lead to self-doubt or limiting beliefs. Look, this will take time, especially if you've had these self-doubts and limiting beliefs for years, but eventually you will default to the positive. All right, now the last step is number 5, stack evidence. Every time you push through self-doubt, every time you act against the limiting belief you had, then you are stacking evidence of the person you are becoming. Maybe it's finally hitting publish on that post you've been staring at for 20 days. Maybe it's speaking up in that meeting when your brain was screaming, you'll sound stupid. Maybe it's applying for that job even though you only meet 6 out of the 10 requirements. Every time you act despite the doubt, your subconscious mind takes notice. And from there, a shift in your beliefs is natural. It's seamless. And whenever that voice pops up saying, oh, you're not good enough, you're stupid, you can't make it happen, then you'll have receipts to show that part of yourself. Oh wait, yeah, I did do that thing. I know this is way easier said than done. Consciously taking these 5 steps to rewire your brain to overcome the self-doubt and limiting beliefs takes a whole lot of time. You'll have to commit to this process and be all in. But if you're somebody who wants to speed this process up and bypass that critical faculty within your mind that makes making changes so difficult, then be sure to check out the second link in the description below. We can work together to overcome your self-sabotage, your limiting beliefs, your self-doubt, and create this sense of mental clarity within your subconscious mind so that change happens quickly and easily. So, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. I'm posting videos multiple times a week. And if you know somebody who's struggling with self-doubt and limiting beliefs and can't seem to get out of their own way, then send this video their way. Alrighty then, take care, and I will see you in the next video.